one. Guess who's live?
We are, I hope.
That's a good intro. What do you think? Guess who's live?
I think that's pretty good. Yeah. We kind of ruined it with the reference, but
Yeah, and
that's a good intro, man.
I did like 4 times, but
Hey.
So guess who's live? We are. I hope, which is a pretty good intro. That'll be like a nice T-shirt later on in the future.
Yeah, that seems to be half of our product. Oh, I hope this is working. Yeah. I hope it's working.
Literally, I mean, which is we're talking about before we started the stream about how we're loving this retro look. Like literally, our technological acumen feels as grungy as our stuff looks. So,
I mean, like you're the one who has like the technical know-how.
That's a stretch.
Like, smash thing. No, Jake, put it down, hammer. Oh,
what's funny
smash? No.
What's funny is that like to you, I'm some sort of like technological genius. To my brother, I'm a doofus. Also, just the way people looks, like our characters are just kind of like, we just see like cutouts of thing we found. Like we just piecing stuff together and somehow.
You know what we look like? We look like an old dating sim.
Yes,
from
dude.
Japan. That's what we look like.
That's such a spot on description.
Oh my gosh.
Dude.
Crap, I can't unsee it now.
Yeah, I'm looking at it now. And I guess what's good is
it's
that
from the female perspective, I hope. And
we're called balcony bros? Like what kind of smorgasbord of weirdness is this? But anyway.
It's like from Nashville. It's like, oh no, getting stuck in here with 2 boys. Well,
yeah.
Combine the question.
Oh, dude, I'm laughing so hard, the back of my ears are hurting. Okay. Stop laughing. Okay.
Breathe in, out.
That was a quick, deep breath there. But yeah. People, we are now here.
We are here.
Here. All right.
We are. I can't say that last part.
Why is it? Because it's what is it? My Hero Academia thing.
QUEER.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
He's so funny, dude.
I will have to spell that out for you.
Literally. Okay. So this week.
So how have you been? How have you been, buddy?
I have been falling apart.
Hard for this?
Probably TMI, but like, so on Wednesday, so I went to work on Wednesday, right? Super stressed. Mm-hmm. So I competed on last weekend, which is why we didn't stream last weekend. Thank God, got gold and bronze. Can talk about that later. Actually, we already did talk about it. So yeah, and then I had a pretty big presentation at work on Wednesday. So I was stressed out of my mind from like Saturday all the way to Wednesday, super stressed. And then Wednesday before the presentation, I was like, "Oh, I'm going to use the bathroom real quick." Go number 2. We're all humans. Some people like to think they don't have a butthole, but I do.
It's really pretty women. They don't go.
I didn't. Why would you even say that? Like, of course they don't.
I thought it was obvious.
It is obvious. Like, of course they don't. So we're on the same page. So why do you sound like we're arguing?
I don't know.
Yeah, this is weird.
This is a virgin Chad meme.
This is a Spider-Man meme. Like, anyway, so I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go to the bathroom, go number 2, because your boy's hot stuff, and do my business on my phone, probably asking ChatGPT some question or something, and then I turn to wipe, and bro, literally blood. Straight up blood. I looked in the toilet.
Geez.
Dude, I was like, oh my God, like I'm genuinely scared right now. Like, okay, probably, and again, another TMI. This is way too much TMI, but like, this is
we're not gonna have any viewers.
But fair enough. But this is like an inaugural stream. Yay! Welcome to my life, I guess. But this is
went down in harbor.
Like, this is my life, right?
Yes.
I've always kind of had stomach issues. Like, that's been factual in my whole life, right? And Okay, dude, stop being so tongue in cheek
Yeah.
about it. Okay, come on and say it. Okay, come on and say it. Save my face. Okay.
I won't say the stories because I have respect for you
Thank
in
you.
your future.
Thank you. Thank you. I really actually do respect that. So I go to the bathroom, wipe, and dude, I looked at him, I'm like, there's no number 2 there, dude. Literally no blood. I'm like, I gotta talk to someone. Anyway, I was like, I'm probably just stressed.
Preferably the ER.
Yeah.
Yeah, preferably.
I'm like, I'm probably just stressed. I'll just say, I'll just ignore it, and then
I'm just stressed.
I don't want to. I want to cough up the money. Okay, it's gonna be expensive. What's so funny? What's so funny?
You've killed me. I love that you're.
What's so funny?
Your reaction to bleeding out. Oh, must be stress. I'll be fine.
Okay, look, I'm not proud of this. I'm not proud. I was like, I'm probably just stressed out of my mind. So I'm gonna I'm gonna go home early tonight. I'm not gonna work out. Just gonna go home, get some sleep, right, and then wake up the next day and see if it's bad, right, dude. Again, this is my thought process. I'm not saying it's right or not, okay. And then and Thursday, I woke up, same problem, right? Slightly better, but same problem. And I did.
Did you ask ChatGPT what you should do?
I thought about doing that, but I was like, that's probably not a good idea.
My God.
And then anyway, so I got back home, and Tim was like, "Are you good?" I'm like, "What do you mean?" My girlfriend.
Chicks are sucking. You're just drained of all life. You mean I'm fine?
She's like, "Hey man, are you doing well?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm." What do you mean? I'm doing good. And she's like, "Are you sure?"
You've been shaking for the last hour.
She's like, "I'm so cold, so cold. I don't have any blood in my system." I'm like, what?
So cold.
Yeah, but she's like, "Oh, are you sure you're good?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm good." And then, Lady Charm, someone got me to say it all to her, and I was like, "Okay, look, I'm fine. I'm just gonna sleep it off or something." This is what I said. I didn't just I was gonna sleep it off, and then yesterday, I told my sister, and dude, she lost her ever loving. She was like, I'm like, dude, it's all right. Like, I'm gonna, take it. What was that?
Good. I'm glad there is someone. I love the female members of your family because they beat the crap out of you.
Fair enough. I mean, that's fair.
When
Point.
necessary.
Fair point.
I love it.
But I was telling her, I'm like, look, it's fine. I'm just gonna, I'm just gonna sleep it off, and then maybe on Monday, if it's still there, I'll just talk to my primary care physician. And she was like, no. You're the crazy one. I'm the one reacting the normal way. And I was like, what? I'm like, I'm doing the fine. She's like, talk to him right now, otherwise. And she started threatening my life. I'm like, okay, cool. And so last night I just sent like 10 p.m.
She's like, look what you made me do.
Yeah. And she stabbed me like, this is the fault. It's the fault. Just punch him in the face. It hurts me more than it hurts you. And so I had to mention my doctor. So that's how I've been for the past week so far. How about you? How have you been?
Well, I love the fact that we're best friends, yet this is the first time hearing it.
That is true. That is true. I mean, but the thing is, I'm not a sharing guy. Unless it's funny.
Except when you go full TMI on the first stream.
Right, but the thing is, like...
That's, yeah.
But to me, it's funny. Like, I wouldn't...
Okay, is this like the story how you just got the crap beat out of you? And
What are you talking
like,
about?
Funny, right?
I know what you're talking
Funny,
about.
right?
I know what you're talking
funny,
about.
yeah.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
My poor mother looking shocked and disturbed and...
What are you talking about, man?
Uh-huh.
I know what you're talking about, man.
Off stream.
I'm not shaking, you're shaking. What? How have you been?
This has gone off the rails. I've been fine. I have not been bleeding out of the anus.
Okay, dude.
Um,
Don't say it like that, dude. Okay.
say it like that. It sounds bad,
Yeah.
almost.
I mean, dude, you're the more articulate and eloquent one. Use better words than bleeding out of my anus.
No, that's descriptive, my friend. As a
Okay.
man with a degree in words and how they are used, I say, yeah, that's how we're gonna describe it. Okay?
All right. Fair enough. Fair enough.
Fair enough. Yeah. So, I'm fine. Yeah, watching lots of, and trying desperately to keep up with the anime this season.
Is it
there's like
overwhelming?
a bit. Every season kind of is, man. Like it's a little intense.
But okay, I guess question for you then. How often? When did you start like following every anime in the season? When did that start for you?
Probably about a year and a half ago. Like I
Okay.
started actively like, oh, what should I watch this season? But my tastes have like diverged enough where I'm like, oh, shonen, cool, seinen, cool, shoujo, cool.
Or what's
And
shoujo?
it's like, um, technically it's made for girls, but it just depends on the anime.
What does that mean?
So,
So I also use
It's
simple
like-
words. So shonen,
simple words.
small, I guess, boy, try to get big and strong, right? Shonen. Seinen,
Okay.
adult, lots of violence.
Shoujo. Yeah, shoujo. Mainly centered around girl and friends and drama.
Wow.
Basically, while shonen is more like,
Action.
action and basically boys becoming men, right?
Right,
I guess
right.
that's a good way of summarizing it.
Mm-hmm.
It's shoujo's about girls becoming women, I suppose, or
And
it's
so-
more of a, and that's a very reductive way of saying it. I suppose it's more of a, I suppose you'd say, well, even then, that's not true. So, like, I was gonna say that shoujo's more interpersonal, right? It's focused a lot more on relationships. It doesn't have to necessarily be romantic or whatever, but it's like, okay, we have a relationship drama, whether that be with friends or family or romance or whatever, and we have to resolve it. But it's kind of the same for shonen. It's just more punching.
Right. Yeah. True.
So I guess it's about people growing up. I guess it's a good way of.
And do they
Putting it.
necessarily have to be women? Girls?
Well, not necessarily.
So-
Like they're.
So are all shonens shoujos then?
I think they're storylines that will appeal to either boys or girls. So, for example, MHA is technically shonen, right?
Oh, it is a shonen.
Now, tons and tons of women love MHA, right?
Right.
It's probably their one of their primary fan bases, actually.
Interesting.
But I had to turn on an anime, and I know my little brother would like it. I'd be like, yeah, MHA is up there, because he'll just like the punching.
So, all shonens are shoujos, but not all shoujos are shonens.
Maybe someone's gonna yell at me for that distinction, but that's as far as I can tell.
How about if it's a shonen, then it's a shoujo, which means if it's not a shoujo, then it's not a shonen, but it could be a shoujo but not a shonen.
It could be many things.
Okay, freaking screw you, dude. Screw you. I'm trying to get my best to understand what you're trying to say, and you're just like going philosophical with me.
So they're necessarily mixed, right? So
Right.
I think there are very few shows that are pure shonen or pure shoujo or pure seinen or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
They have different elements built in, and usually like the shonen or the shoujo is just kind of a rating almost, right? Like Hell's Paradise, a very good anime coming out right now. Like, I'm like, that's not appropriate for children. It's not. It's entirely too gory and violent.
Oh, so shoujo is like the PG-13 of the of the anime world kind of thing.
It's like the PG-13 almost. Same thing with shonen.
So
Like,
the
now,
seinen is 18.
Standards are, yeah, or like I mean, my brothers watch it, and I'm like, I don't really care. As long
But
as you are care with it.
I guess it depends on the sign-in, which again, you
Yeah.
can. But I guess generalize for me because I gotta make sense of this. So
Yeah.
broadly speaking, shoujo's PG or PG-13, or shonen's PG-13.
For Japan, it's probably PG. For America, it's probably PG-13.
Okay, and then sign-in is what? 18 and above.
Definitely 17 above, probably.
Okay, and then what is?
And again, it depends. So
What would you give Hell's Paradise then?
that's full on signing.
Okay, that makes sense to me now.
Yeah.
Cool. That was an unnecessary tangent there, but yeah. So you've been watching lots of anime. Sorry for
Yep.
that was gross.
No, it's all good.
Sorry for interrupting you. So
It'll.
since I took my tooth taken out, I can barely control my. Anyway,
Yeah. Gotta avoid those spitting words.
yeah, I have a lisp. Anyway, it's a whole thing. But go on.
What was I saying? Oh yeah. So I've been just trying to desperately almost. I don't want to sound like oh it's so hard.
Yeah, it's like oh, boo-hoo.
It's just one of those things. Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like I have a ton of books on my bookshelf I haven't even touched yet.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm trying to find time to shove in the reading. It's the same thing with the anime, right? It's like I'm trying to find time to shove in all these shows that I want to watch, as well as all the shows I missed from last season and the season before that and the season before that.
Can I go on a tangent here with you for a second?
Yes, go right ahead.
I know we make kind of tongue-in-cheek jokes about us being infovores, but you just described to me the infovores like paradise, where it's like you have so many books that you can actually read. Also, like infovores like nightmare, but after so many books you can actually read, so many anime you can actually watch. It's like to the point that you're trying to find ways to fit them in. It's kind of exciting because there's so much out there you got to read, but also kind of terrifying because I'm like, oh my god, there's so much out there I can never actually get to read. Like for example, right now I'm finally gonna let go of this book. I've read this for almost like half the year. Sherlock Holmes. I'm holding up to the just the volume 1 because dude, I read and reread the stories, and it's so good, right? I feel like I'm getting more money for my worth with this one book, and I have a bigger volume of Sherlock Holmes readings. But anyway, just the thought of me letting go of this book to go read other ones is exciting. I'm like, I want to go open up a new one. And speaking of, for the readers that care, I'm reading Kurt Vonnegut's Slaughterhouse-Five.
Very good. Written by a World War II veteran with the setting of the bombing of Dresden by the Allies in 1945. Yes.
Awesome. I'm looking forward to it. So I mean, probably it's fiction.
It's weird, dude. Like, get ready for that.
Okay. I mean, I'm here for it. It doesn't seem like it's that long. I can probably get through it in about a day or so.
In a sitting. You can do it in a sitting.
Yeah. But yeah, that's cool. Lots of anime, lots of reading. That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's like, I suppose it's like in a bizarre way, it's a fear of missing out.
Oh, for sure.
And so
absolutely. Fully agree.
Yeah, it's like, I don't want to, I suppose this is dark, but I'm like, I don't want to die and be like, I missed out on so much cool stuff that I had the opportunity to experience. And it's terrible that, in a way, that I got into anime so late in life, too. Or late in life, right? I was 18 when I started. In the sense that there are so many shows, like, Cowboy Bebop, Samurai Blue, all the old, like, the original, like, the big three, like, Bleach, Naruto,
One Piece.
One Piece. None of them I've finished. All because there's just new shows just, coming at me like bullets. I'm just like, and I'm like a squirrel chasing after too many nuts. I'm just like, ha 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 ha.
You chase after nuts, all right. I was just gonna say,
this is good for children, right?
No, no, it's not for kids. So it's not for kids. Sorry about the joke, guys.
Okay, good. Because I'm like, good lord.
Yeah.
Awful.
I'm sorry. Okay, God.
Awful. An awful person.
Don't beat me down so
Feel
hard.
bad. Feel bad.
I will say, I will say one thing about this. The desire to, it just hit me. Like, I've known you for almost a decade now. By the way, think about that. 6 years now, bro. 6 years. Yeah, so I'm in for 6 years, and
it feels like 9.
Screw you too. Okay, in for 6 years, and you just said something right now to me that kind of is interesting. Like, it just gave me another perspective on you. So you described your not having time to watch anime as you don't want to die, knowing that you had so many cool things to watch, but you didn't actually watch them, which kind of goes to why, kind of in a weird way, your motivation for quitting YouTube, because you have, ironically, he's quit YouTube.
And I think I've gotten to like the worst part of it, because every once in a while I'll open up my browser on my computer, but it's nowhere near as like, ooh, that one, as it was like a week ago.
Yeah. Oh, so are you still? Have you watched any recently?
I've allowed myself to watch it on my computer.
Okay.
Because you can't quite do the scrolling or anything like that.
Right.
And so far, that's been able to keep me,
wean you off
on the better side of normal, right?
Yeah. I mean, and, also, do you want to go back? Like,
not really, because it's like
you have enough.
I like
stuff
to listen to stuff at night. Yeah, I like to listen to stuff at night just to go to sleep to. I'm like, I just go to Audible and play an audiobook that I've listened to already and just put a timer in for 2 hours and I'm zonked out.
And you own
I don't
that
need
book.
to.
Like, what you've read, you own it.
Yeah, and it's like, now, will I occasionally open up YouTube on my browser on my phone? Because, there are certain things on YouTube that you can listen to that might or might not be books. I'll do that occasionally, but it's more like and sometimes there are guys like I listen to, there's a history channel I listen to, Apostolic Majesty. He does like 3-hour lectures. Now I'll listen to those. It's like, it's more targeted, shall I say?
Right. I was talking about that because I don't know if I'm probably projecting it, but I don't think for you want to go back because you have so much, so much stuff you actually enjoy doing, but YouTube is just monopolizing your time.
I feel like every time I go and watch like the stupid videos, or especially the shorts, that's what I feel like. I'm like, I wasted my day.
Mm-hmm. Ooh,
and that makes me feel so terrible.
The listeners could not see because we're PNG tubers, but he had just the look of I am so freaking done that I've ever seen you have in your whole life, basically.
It's just a waste of time. It's like it's the same thing with most all social media, I think, because it's like, look, the utility of social media, in my opinion, right, is that you can get information that you did not have access to before. You can talk to people that you never had the opportunity to talk to before. Mm-hmm. But what it's become is the instant, endless dopamine rush.
Right.
That has completely undermined the utility of it, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. I fully agree.
And it's a real addiction. I was like sitting there for the first 2 days. I told you about this, where I'm scrolling to where the app was. Whenever it was idle, because it's like, I need scratching my neck. I need stuff. I need something. I need info.
I was saying also, I've also quit YouTube for the listeners, but I was the same way for like a week. I was like, oh my god, like I scroll there even when I wake up in the morning, and I'm feeling a bit lazy getting up. I'm just gonna scroll to YouTube. I'm like, I don't have it anymore.
I did the same thing.
I will say though,
I would always do the same thing. Yeah.
One thing that's very interesting to me is that from an outsider's perspective, you and I are like almost living a whole different life, right? Because we don't have Instagram, we don't have Twitter. Mm-hmm. I mean, I do for work, but I don't use it. We don't have Instagram, we don't have Twitter, we don't have Facebook, we don't have any other social media.
I have a Facebook account for work side business,
right?
I only post links on there, so
yeah, but you're not like scrolling on Facebook to like see what your friends are up to or something.
I don't like it. It's
Yeah. So and so
Like, and I might like it. I'm sorry to interrupt you there.
go on.
Um, I might like it. I'm just killing aggressively with my hands right now, like a true Italian. Um, but it's like I have no desire whatsoever to understand it, and so I'll likely never like it.
Also, I think you're also getting past that age where you don't have the social pressure anymore to like get it. Like your friend group,
No.
me and your family and people, they don't no one gives a crap. Like
Yeah.
we don't care as much, honestly. I don't.
Yeah, and I don't think we preach that much either. We're not like,
Right.
you shall quit it.
Yeah.
And it's just like we do the same thing with alcohol, for example. I'm like, when asked, neither of us drink, if that wasn't obvious.
Or that'd be
When
obvious.
asked, we're just well, because I just said it was obvious.
Oh,
Like
I see,
we
I
don't
see.
do the same thing about alcohol.
I see.
When it's like, why don't you drink? I'm like, yeah,
Mhm.
I just don't want to.
Yeah.
It's not really a moral crusade. It's just like I'm like, look, it's not to use econ terms, the marginal utility is so
No.
non-existent for it, in my opinion,
Yeah.
to not warrant it.
Yeah. I fully agree. I mean, but what's very interesting is that people outside look at us and like, oh my god, you guys have so much self-control and all that stuff. But then with YouTube, because this is why I believe YouTube is more pernicious for us. Okay, people that are listening, I'm sorry if you watch YouTube, be fine. But for us, because like we always say, we are infovores, right? And so anything that slightly tickles our fancy in like as an intellectual pursuit, we are going hardcore for it. So
Now imagine like a herd of monkeys just like, hooting and hollering,
Yeah.
just
through the savannah, it just says jump from
That's
tree to
us.
tree. Yeah, and the thing is, we would go
That's
down
us.
rabbit holes, right? Like sometimes I've talked to my girlfriend, and she'll be like, "Where do you even find these?" I'm like, "Dude, don't ask me because I've been down some rabbit holes on YouTube, and so are you too. Like you get down rabbit holes, but I think it's as a result of the natural curiosity that we have, which which YouTube kind of does. It does enough to satisfy, But then after a while, you're like, I feel
was
gross.
telling you this today. It's like there are videos on YouTube that are like full-on documentaries. I'm like, that was awesome. But then it's like under 99% is a complete dumpster fire.
Right. That's hilarious. Yeah.
And it's getting worse.
I mean, truly is. But yeah, I fully agree with that. I will say though, but as an infovore, you quitting YouTube now gives you enough bandwidth to actually have the conversation you want to have, to actually, read the books you want to read, watch the anime you want to watch, for the record. So I mean, I kind of miss YouTube.
Yeah, like the time I have, I'm like, oh, wow.
Yeah.
I have a ton of time.
Also, you have a ton of ideas. You didn't even notice, like, almost like YouTube was kind of stealing away from you. Like, the thing, I miss YouTube because I play the drums in my church, so I keep up on, what's going on, in the music sphere through YouTube, and plus I also keep up with jiu-jitsu stuff as well, jits as I call it, on YouTube, because I'm like, okay, I can keep up with the news, watch the vlogs and all that stuff. But I was thinking about it, like later, I'm like, I don't. In the end, I'll be fine. Like I'm not gonna die from not keeping up with that stuff. Plus, if I really want to do it, there are ways I can do to get better at at the crafts that I want to get better at without actually watching YouTube. YouTube is such a band-aid for what I actually want to do. So, we just crapped on YouTube, by the way.
Yes, that's some meta crap right there. And we're not even on Facebook.
Ah, nice.
Yeah,
So, do you want to finally get into the topic at the 30-minute mark?
Yeah. People who might have potentially checked
Dropped
in
off.
are checking out because
Yeah.
they're like, okay, this is not anime at all.
No, not at all. It's not going anywhere. But
Well,
for those that are still
because
here-
you recommended the topic, you go ahead,
awesome.
my guy.
So I was thinking. So there's this concept in, I guess, Infovore circle, or just I'll just call it intellectual circles, where as a child or when you're younger, you encounter things that kind of shake your world, right? These are especially in books. You encounter a book that shakes your whole. Oh my god! For example, when I first of all encountered the idea of supply and demand. I was like, oh my god, there's an invisible hand. Oh my god, like actually selfish people can actually, you know, make the world a better place. Like, you know, it blew my mind. And as you get older, actually, those books and people and ideas get fewer, which means in a weird way they become more valuable. The more, like, when you find a book in your now 20s, in your mid 20s that shakes your world, you're like, oh my god, I'm gonna keep this book for a long time. And for, I guess, pivot here, for you found one recently when you haven't found one in a long time.
Yeah, Surprised by Joy by C.S. Lewis.
Yeah. You haven't found one.
It kind of.
Go on.
I wouldn't say it like completely changed my worldview or whatever, but it codified certain things in my head that were already there. So
right, exactly. So it was more meaningful in that way because not necessarily it doesn't change. I mean, it's gonna be hard to change your whole worldview because you're 20. You've built, like, you know, you have 20 years worth of knowledge and, like, you know, life experience, but it is a book that you found relatively later in life that actually made an impact on you. So, all the long and short to say, I was like, that probably applies as well in anime, right? So, in your early journey of watching anime, some animes are like, oh my god, dude, that was so good, because it was you know, meta, all the, you could, you know, go through, philosophy was good, characters were good, all that stuff. And so I thought to ask you, as my anime bud or balcony bro, what animes would you say have, you know, been, you know, I've not shaking your world, but, like, you know, been in your head,
stuck in some head.
Yeah, been stuck in your head.
Okay, so, oh crap, that's actually is a really good topic because I have a bunch actually that when I was thinking about this.
All right,
earlier
cool.
Today.
I'm here for this.
So I'll pick one, I suppose. Let's see. Actually, I'll let you pick it, and I'll then I'll talk about it, whichever one you want. So you either got Jujutsu Kaisen, you got My Hero Act, you got Tokyo Ghoul, or Toradora.
Pause a second. I think something just happened to me. Have I? This is probably hardcore deja vu, but have I given that intro before?
The intro?
So I gave like a preamble. Was that the same one?
Similar to the previous topic we said?
I was gonna say, but that was okay. So I just mixed them up. I mean, I guess it's kind of orthogonal. But my broader point with this is, okay, I
interpreted your prompt that you sent me as being like, I interpreted them as scenes that got stuck inside my head.
That's what I meant. That's what I meant more.
For a long time.
Yeah, that's what I meant more.
Okay.
Sorry. I'm sorry for my listeners. I've barely gotten any sleep. But so I guess the kind of okay. So give me a second here. Let me regroup. All right, regrouped. Now, in econ, there's something called sticky prices, right? Which means no matter what happens, no matter the amount of pressure put on the price, the price remains at that specific point. So you could say that no matter how much demand there is for good X, for some reason good X just wants to stay at this price, right? And so I was like, okay, we can apply that as well to anime. Where, like, no matter the amount of anime you watch, some anime scenes or some animes, broadly speaking, just stick in your mind for either being really, really good, really, really interesting, or just for whatever reason, it just sticks in your mind. That's what I actually meant to say. I didn't realize that it had given that first, and I feel like a phony.
I would have said something because it sounded similar, but I was like, well, let's just go with the flow here.
Yeah, I was like, sorry.
Punches.
I'm sorry for people. For me, if I notice any consistency, I can't get out of my mind. It's just like I never want to sound phony. So sorry to listeners who have to listen to that whole thing again. But now go on. Sorry.
No, it's fine. So do you want to still do the pick, or do you want me to pick?
You pick, because it seems like you have some interesting ones here. Oh yeah. Oh, actually, I'll pick. Okay.
Okay,
right.
Okay. Jujutsu Kaisen, HA, Toradora, or Tokyo Ghoul?
Toradora.
Okay. So, this one's going to be a bit controversial, so, trigger warning there, I suppose.
Okay.
Um, so I hope I wouldn't have to do a complete explanation of what Toradora is, but brief synopsis, I suppose. Toradora is a romantic comedy, romantic drama, or whatever, about a boy named Ryuji and a girl Taiga and their misadventures trying to get their preferred partner, but does not end how they expect. Has got to be top 10 anime of all time for me, so I highly recommend it.
Someday, I actually want to hear that list. Someday, I want to hear your top 10.
Yeah, it's shifting
Constantly
sands.
changing. Yeah, you fence sitter, we get it. But go on.
Yeah. Anyways, the scene in question is, I guess, a little bit of spoiler, a little bit of backstory. Ryuji is he's being raised by a single mother, right? Mm-hmm. And his mom's a lot, to be perfectly honest with you. She's works nights, so she's sleeping most of the day. She's got the mind of a teenager most of the time, so he's kind of the responsible adult in the relationship oftentimes. And as the pressure builds in the anime, he finally explodes at her. And he's like, basically, you're useless. You've never done anything useful in your life. Why do we live like this? Why do you like this? Yada, yada, yada. And she breaks down crying. And she admits to him that she had told him his whole life that his father had been murdered, right? And it turns out that no, he wasn't murdered, and he's just fell out, and he ran out on her, and she had gotten pregnant out of wedlock, and in Japan especially, that is a big no-no, and so she kind of got chucked out of her house. And she says the reason for that was, they told me to get rid of you, right? To abort you. But I wanted to keep you. And that stuck in my head so much. Because it was that moment of... It was like, we talked about in a test stream, like, you don't know how life's gonna go.
Right.
At all. Like you never predict how your life's gonna go. Like, the improbability of a Nigerian immigrant making friends with a guy who was born in a little town of Montrose, Colorado, at the University of North Dakota, which I suppose I shouldn't have said that, but okay.
Hey,
it's out.
Dox it all, dude. I've doxed my bowel movement, so.
Sorry.
You're a grown man.
No, I was coughing and laughing and coughing, and that didn't go well. Okay. But it got caught in my mind because it's like, you can't predict the future. And so what you have in that anime is that you see the outcome before you saw the past. Right? You see Ryuji. And Toradora is unique in the sense that it could have been a harem anime, ironically, because there are 3 or 4 female characters that actually fall in love with him. But it's a unique... The reason the anime is so good is you can understand why they do love him. Because he's actually a very stand-up guy who grows and develops and all that jazz.
Caring.
And, yeah. Exactly. He's a desirable dude, right? So you see the outcome before you see the past. And because of that, you can just sense the almost tragedy that it was. That if his mother did not decide to keep him, at huge cost to herself, you wouldn't have him. And it's kind of it's a Wonderful Life-esque type of story, in the sense that without Bailey in It's a Wonderful Life, the whole town goes to crap. Because of the impact he had on everybody's life. You can also imagine the impact that he has on everyone else's life in that anime as well. And so, in that sense, that is the strongest pro-life message I've ever seen in an anime. And perfectly encapsulate the position.
Right. I think that's actually really, really interesting. It does make mind my answer seems so bad. I still feel like so shallow in comparison.
It does, like, I have a couple that are not that deep, but
Yeah.
you know, that was the deepest one.
That's a really good point because we're very quick to say that no human is an island. We're all rather, you know, we're not atoms, we're neurons, right? So we're connected in some deep way. And I guess like what you just described is kind of like it is a really interesting way to make that point. Because I've also seen Toradora, and just like the way the characters grow into their relationship as they go on. Because the guy he looks like a yakuza, right? He looks like someone who, you know,
Yeah, he's a scary looking dude.
scary looking guy, right? And you can make the case that, oh, you know, oh my God, he wasn't blessed with good looks. He wasn't, you know, I don't think he was smart. He wasn't smart at all. He was just like an average Joe, right? Yeah. So average Joe wasn't blessed with any good looks. Actually blessed with the opposite. And people don't get to know who he is until they come close to him. And when they come close to him, they want to leave him. So you can make the case that, you know, in a weird way, just on the face of it, he doesn't, like, the mother made the wrong choice. Good. But then, like you said, it's like the way the characters develop and how they, you know, come to love him in their own not in their own way, but they love him for almost tiny nuances of his character, which is so deep. Because like if you apply that perspective to your everyday life and the people in your life, he's like, oh my God, like what nuance of my character do people like about me, right? It's like the people that I love about me.
And the point of, like, if you think, I suppose, and I've dealt with this, as you know, right, of feeling worthless or whatever, feeling like, well, there's no reason why people should like me. It's like that's such a narcissistic point of view, because it's like, look, you're treating everyone around you like a fool.
Right. That's deep.
And so,
that's really deep. Wow. All right. I guess it's my turn to bring down the mood here.
Too deep for our caliber.
Yeah, too deep. One is an anime I just finished this weekend, by the way. It is called Kaguya-sama Love is War. I know.
Ooh.
I finally got into it. I finally finished it. I knew
on you for months.
Yeah.
Months.
Here comes the I told you so. Enjoy yourself. Do I
F you. I was right. F you. I was right.
All right. You done? You satisfied?
F you. I was right.
Oh my God. But this scene stuck with me. The I guess let me backtrack a little bit. So the point of, you know, having an internal monologue, that stuck with me, because on its face, without the omniscient character, so the use of the omniscient, like, he's lying, he says this, he's lying, he says this, he says he cares about everyone else, cares about himself, right? That device so makes the audience member, how do I make this point? He gives the audience member a certain kind of grace to the characters.
It's okay, so it's the use of a third person. Oh, what's the literary term?
Omniscience.
Yeah, third person omniscient view.
Yeah,
which is,
it gives me a lot of grace for the characters.
Yeah,
because for example, and this is where I knew it was right. There was a point where the show stopped giving as much of what was going in Kaguya's head, kind of close to the climax. I don't think give it as much. And for a second I was like, oh, that's weird. It's very interesting, because like I began to like almost get mad at her at a certain point. So I'm like, what are you doing? Like he's burned. He's like done all these things for you. Now you're trying to act all cold, right? That's one. Secondly, the grace we get in the omniscient is lost on the characters who are on the receiving end of this. So we know how hard Kaguya is trying to be nice and trying to be sweet, right? And then we see, and we see her effect on the people around her. Like we get it. Like, oh my, it's funny because, she's trying her best, and these characters are so scared of her. But then the characters in the show are just, I guess they're living in their own world. All this to say that, not to say, oh, everyone wants to be loved, man, but there is a certain maturity that comes with almost embracing that third person omniscient point of view. Now, multiple people and multiple self-help books have tried their best to help us get there by saying, oh, maybe say you're driving down the road, someone cuts you off, like, oh, maybe he has to go home and see his family, maybe his wife is pregnant. You make up a story in your mind, in your head, to make yourself not react in your instinctive emotional reaction. And I think that is an attempt at getting to seeing that third person omniscient, because once you have that perspective, like, the way you treat people will be just almost I think that is truly maturity. I think
it's not normal, actually. That's the discussion. So we are willing to do that to a certain extent with our family, right?
Right.
You grow up with him. You're like, okay, you
can internalize. Right.
Yeah.
He
says stuff. He doesn't mean it.
Right.
Or whatever. Right. You instinctively know, like, crap, I just crossed the line. Because you know him.
Yeah.
Right? But we struggle so much with doing that outside of our closed group, right?
Right.
And there is a book, what's her name? There are two books, one by Samuel Moyne, a historian, and another by something Hunt. And they were basically describing how, for most of human history, people struggled to consider the inner world of people who were not like themselves.
Right.
And it wasn't until like the late 18th century that this revolution occurred. And people started writing, why can't I remember all this? But basically they started writing like fiction that described the inner worlds of people who were not the nobility or whatever. And nobles and and people in the middle class and all that started reading about the lives of those lesser than them. And for the first time, realizing they had internal worlds that were just as important to them as those reading was, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, it does.
So this is a struggle that humans just have had through all of human history.
Yeah, and that's a really great point, because I guess to add to that a little bit, the way it's portrayed in Love is War is not just that you get to see what they're thinking, but you get to have whenever the narrator speaks, you get to have the perspective of almost like you know their true motive. Because fundamentally, the whole show is about masks, right? It's like, oh yeah, we have this mask we put on, trying to get certain things or whatever, and you could have clued into that from the beginning. Whenever the narrator would be like, oh, he says he's gonna go let you guys study in the student council room. No, he's not looking out for himself in that whole thing. Like you get these like almost droplets, I guess, of like, oh, here's his true motive. And in a very, like, I guess it's a very, very human point, because to me, this was what stuck with me. Like, the point they're making, in a way, it kind of removes for me I can't broach that barrier to talk with you, because I now know for sure that there are cultural differences that are very, very hard to break through in talking with other people. But if you have the almost third person omniscient point of view, like try to get to the motive of specific things that you're doing, like I think you've almost unlocked the key in human relationships that is weirdly enough, I found in an anime. Oh my god! So fight me, people that think animes aren't impressive.
Well, it's kind of like what's the perp art, right? Up until the Romantics, right? The Romantics argued that the purpose of art was to bring a mirror up into yourself. It was to look at what's on the inside that makes us tick.
Mm-hmm.
Before that, they argued that the point of it was to hold the mirror up to nature.
Right.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
And so, like, we've gone internal, literally, to how to view ourselves.
Right.
And, like, one of the true motivations for everything, and I think this extended outwards to a lot of things. So, for example, psychology, right? You have, like, Sigmund Freud, who was like, everything is, like, because you wanted to your mother.
yeah.
Because he's a weird German dude. But then you have many others who are like, well, into the father wound, demons flee, and you just have all these other interpretations that these internal problems manifest themselves outwards.
Right.
And I think that's what anime does. So, like, one of the prevailing jokes of, like, stories like of Naruto is like, oh, everyone's got a sub story. Because you see the back, the flashback or whatever. But it's like, we take for granted that.
Right. That's
because
true.
it can so easily be like no explanation for why he behaves like this.
Right. And
just being like, wow, he's a skadoocher.
Yeah.
Screw that guy.
Yeah. And this is, I remember we talked about this in one of our earlier streams. The Yu Ishigami character is so much more complex and interesting because we got that third person omniscient. It's so, like, I think it's beautifully done. Like, now, I think it's very funny. I think it's derivative of AF, by the way, but the way it's done in the use of that narrator character, like, to me, I think it's beautifully, like, it's so good in achieving what I think the show is trying to achieve, because, like, the characters, I think in and of themselves can actually drive the whole show, but having that, like, just that reminder, or whenever the narrator comes on, being like, oh, by the way, all these guys, people are wearing a mask. They think love is war. It's like, the absurdity of the whole thing. And I think that's fundamentally human. And that stuck with me ever since I watched it.
Yeah.
I guess your turn.
Well,
we have 8 minutes.
Sweet.
So I think it's going to be you last. So.
Okay. Do you want to do the pick thing, or do you want me to pick?
I'll pick.
Okay. Jujutsu Kaisen, MHA, or Tokyo Ghoul?
Jujutsu
Kaisen.
Yeah.
Okay, so this one's not going to be nearly as deep.
Good.
But, you'll know a scene when... Okay, so I'm cheating, there are two scenes, right? And I think they say the same thing, in a sense. So, the scenes... I think I showed you this before you ever even watched the show, because it bothered me so much. I think you know what I'm actually going to talk about.
I know exactly what you're talking about. That restaurant scene, right?
Yeah, there is the infamous restaurant scene in Jujutsu Kaisen where, in Jujutsu Kaisen, these, I don't know, sorcerers, I think they call them? I can't remember.
Yeah, but they fight demons.
Yeah, they fight demon curses or whatever. I think they call them curses. And, I think from what I gather, the curses are the manifestation of all the evil of mankind in a sense. And so, it's like this eternal battle between the sorcerers and curses. Yeah. And
parallels.
There's a scene where...
I was going to say parallels very closely with Chainsaw Man. So, like, the way, like, there's a gun demon, something similar to that.
Yeah. Crap, what was I saying? Okay. So, there's a scene where several curses and a human sorcerer who's gone bad for whatever reason, I don't know why, they haven't explained it yet, are all meeting in a restaurant. And curses, being, mystical, can't be seen by normal people, right? And so all the people see is just one guy sitting at a table alone. And the curses and the sorcerer, right, are talking. And a waiter, realizing the guy has been sitting there a long time without taking an order, goes over to take his order. And the curse gets annoyed at him. And because this is part of his powers, lights the guy on fire. And just burns him alive. And the curse proceeds to do that to every single person in the restaurant.
Oh, and then there was one lady trying her best to get out the door.
And she broke her ankle or something like that running, and
fell.
she's crawling out desperately, and she just dies at the last moment.
Dude, that one I was
and
like,
it's like
ugh.
this. It's like, I guess before I say what I'm gonna say about it, like, I need to say horror. I mean, I watched it like 4 times because I'm just like, what
That was
did
a
I
gut
just
punch.
see?
Like, you showed me, I was like, oh my god. Because the one that you start interrupting, but I'm a guy,
What?
shocker, and whenever I see whenever I get like someone innocent, helpless, that's something in me triggers. But just watching her helplessly try her best, clinging on to life, and knowing that nothing she could have done.
Yeah.
Man,
She can't fight back. She can't do anything. She doesn't even know what's happening.
Right. That was a powerful scene. Yeah.
Yeah. The second scene was much later in the season. I think one of the last episodes, actually. A character who had been hyped up, even in the trailer, just dies. Right? And we were expecting him as the audience to be like, become an integral part of the team or whatever. We'd seen him in the trailer for, or the opening rather.
Yeah.
For the entire season. And he had several episodes where he was basically the main character. And then he dies.
One thing to add to that real quick is it, again, parallels very closely with Chainsaw Man, where like the starting 5 or whatever they are, boom, barely even like how many episodes barely even like 12 episodes, done.
Like 5 episodes in or something like that, just dies.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, what I got, and it wasn't like some dramatic like way. He didn't sacrifice himself trying to save everyone else or defeating the bad guy. He just dies. And what got me about both of those scenes is while coincidences can be like miracles to people, right? Like there's no reason that should happen, but it happened. There are other times when you just got unlucky. That there is senselessness to life in a sense.
Evil, yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, and sometimes it's not even evil. It's like you just walk into the field, the lightning strikes you, and you die. And it's like C.S. Lewis talked about this as like being the greatest argument for atheism in a sense that it's like the utterly pointless side of life that drives that home. In a sense that like none of those people did anything deserved.
Right.
Nothing at all. Yet they just died. I've been listening through on Audible The Second World Wars by Victor Davis Hanson, and he describes like the air campaigns over Japan and Germany, and it's just horrifying. Another scene, I guess, that is reminiscent of that was like the opening scene of That Time I Got Reincarnated into Slime, the firebombing scene.
Yeah.
It's like the girl Shizuin and her mother, they didn't do anything.
Yeah.
Yet they're caught up in this broader conflict that they have no control over. That they couldn't stop if they wanted to.
Right. Sorry for interrupting, but another scene like that. I'm gonna spoil it for you. Crap. Is in Attack on Titan, but something similar to that happens.
Yeah, it's just like this. And Attack on Titan is chock-a-block full of them. Where it's like innocent people just die for no reason other than the machinations of those above them.
Right.
or even worse, just, and that's like even the nice sense, because like you can at least say with the curses and the Titan, whatever, you're like, okay, at least they can kill them, at least they can be avenged. Dude, what do you do to the lightning strike?
Dude, that opinion you just had changes much later down the road, because the scene I'm referencing right now for listeners that have watched it, even you, I don't want to spoil for you, but you get to like, oh my god, nothing these people could have done, no matter how hard they could have lived a perfect life, been kind to everyone, done everything perfectly, that would still happen to them, and that's truly tragedy.
Yeah, and it's like, and that's life in general, right? It's like, again, another C.S. Lewis point. He was talking about death. He's like, and death combat. He was wounded in the First World War fighting in the trenches, so like he knew what he was talking about in that sense. And he's like, look, I don't think that's a big deal to go fight in the war and potentially die there, because it's probably one of the few places where, like, reasonably speaking, have a good chance of dying painlessly.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Everywhere else, it's the slow cancer taking you out, or something.
Or in my case,
and that's
bloody stool.
Yeah, bloody stool. Rip the dream. But yeah, it's and that's the depression, like right there, because it's just like, and it's one thing for a soldier to die, right? Because at least you can say they signed up, they knew what was happening, they had the rifle, they were fighting, and they died. But it's another thing just to have, innocence. The little kid stepping on the landmine, so to speak.
Yeah.
Just
blown up.
Yeah, just awful, right? That's there's your daily dose of depression.
Thank you for that a lot, man. Like, well, welcome, fellow listeners, to being friends with this psycho.
Yeah, this lunatic.
Well, it's about an hour now, an hour and 2 minutes. I guess I want to talk to you off stream if you don't mind. Just wait for a little bit.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, that was fun. I guess talking about this again next week. I have another one I'm going to bring up.
I got plenty more.
I have another one that's pretty depressing that I was going to bring up as well, but we don't have enough time.
Well, that could be our. I'll have an upper, then you can do the downer.
Yeah.
And we can.
All right.
Yeah, we'll just.
Anything else?
Make like dealers. No, that was a blast, and I pray it turned out good, because it's so freaking hard to get this going.
Yeah. Awesome. See you next week. We are Balcony Bros signing out. Sign.